or lack thereof. Day three. Day three. If you've been rocking with me, say something. Hey, I'm just bringing up the comments as usual. Just a little bit easier on the app. Okay. I'm so excited to be here. Always, always, always with y'all. Always. So excited. I'm Lashanique. If you're new to me, I have been previously in retail. I was a retail leader. I worked at Target. I worked at Target headquarters. Then I went over to Target stores and I had a team of about 40 people. I fell in love with HR and I decided to jump into HR. I pivoted in 90 days. And I realized because I had been helping people after I pivoted, I started helping other people pivot and I was like, they were saying like it took them 1 year, 2 years, 5 years. And when the person told me that it was taking them 5 years to pivot, I was like, I think I gotta help people out, right? And then I when as I was coaching people and I was seeing people who had struggled for about 6 months, and then I was able to support them through some of the strategies that I leveraged, they were able to get a role in 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, right? And so the framework that I teach everybody is how they can pivot in 90 days without a certification. And I've also been able to help people to pivot with a pay increase, right? So I had my own struggles pivoting with the salary that I exactly wanted, but I was able to get closer to the salary that I really, 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 really wanted because I didn't go with the mindset that I had to start all over. So, and I encourage that for a lot of my clients as well. Like you can pivot with pay increase, and a lot of them do. A lot of them do. I have an average of 25K, but people have pivoted with like some major, major increases over the years that I have helped them. So I'm also excited to share, like I have been really booking out with people in my Prime to Pivot program. And it's just been a really exciting time. I started my business after I left my last role, which I was like, oh, I'm just going to take a sabbatical because I had a pretty I had a role where I wore a lot of hats, and I essentially was like, okay, I'm ready to step away from all of this and give myself a break because I've been in the work world, X amount of years and HR X amount of years. Like, I just have the philosophy now that I think we should allow ourselves more sabbaticals. So I've been doing this full time now for over a year. Last year was my first full year in business. But I've had this program for some time. I want to say over 3 years. But again, helping people pivot for about 7 years since I pivoted. I'm also a transition lead for an organization called HR Hot Seat. Listen, I be in HR transition all day. It's basically what I'm trying to tell y'all. So I nerd out. I get excited. So I'm excited to be here. I want to talk about for today specifically around if you're the person that rambles, right? If you're the person that rambles and why you really need to consider the impact model. And again, I'm going to go through the impact model again just to keep driving it home for you all because I know it's going to be new for people because it is my proprietary framework. Have been using this framework and made this framework since I was a business analyst at Target because I told the story that I was a trash interviewer because they had a process where you had to go and interview until they thought you were ready because they knew they were going to promote you, right? But you had to interview like you were ready. And so they would send you around to different people. And so most people would go to like 2 or 3 interviews. I think they sent me around to like 7 people. And so that has spit me out enough where I was like, okay, I'm a trends person. So I started to pick up the trends and figure out what's going on, like what I needed to say. And so after that, I really started to create my own framework, which worked really, really well. And I started to get the feedback, wow, like you're the best interviewer. And so again, I've crafted this over time. And then when I became an HR business partner, and I've been on like so many panel debriefs and I've interviewed field service engineers, marketing, program managers, like every role you can think of. I have been able to interview. And so I've taken those insights and been able to again bring to you all, especially as pivoters, a framework that works for people who are pivoting, right? So one of the biggest downfalls I see, especially for those who are pivoting, because a lot of you are so kind of insecure about what you bring to the table or a lack of what you bring to the table, right? If you're going after an HR generalist role, but you've never looked at any type of law, if you've kind of worn the HR hat, but you've not had the title, you've been a general manager and you've done all the HR duties because you had a dual role, but like again, you didn't have the title. So you you really struggle with explaining what it is that you actually did because you have all these thoughts about, well, but I didn't have the actual title. I don't want to lie. I don't want to get found out. And so y'all over explain and ramble like nobody's business, right? And that is the easiest way to get eyes glazed over. I know for me, I'm a very tough interviewer. And so when I have somebody that rambles, like I almost immediately check out. Seriously. And so I feel bad because, I feel bad because I know that's frustrating. And at the end of the day, you're just trying to articulate yourself. But in an interview setting, it is all about storytelling. And if you are a rambler, you're likely kind of all over, right? Like I literally have people that like, if for example, if you get the question yesterday we talked about, if you haven't watched the full series, I would definitely go back. Might delete later. So I haven't, because I was like, oh, I think I want to do the series a little different. So I might delete later. So I would definitely go back before I do that. But yesterday I was talking about the direct experience question. And y'all get this direct experience question, like, tell me about your direct experience in employee relations. And if you're like, ooh, but like, ooh, I ain't never done that, or I did do it, but I didn't do the whole thing. My manager did it, or ooh, can I really say that? Like, y'all go down this whole like mental diatribe and purgatory. That's what I call it, purgatory. And then you're not able to then articulate a full story, or you try to use the STAR method and then your brain knows that there's stuff missing because the STAR method doesn't tell the full story. And you leave out so much critical information, so much that they're looking for. So if I got any ramblers that are live, because I see 3 people are here. If I got any ramblers live, let me know. Let me know why do you feel you ramble? Does any of what I said resonate with you? I would love to hear, like, what is what is your biggest downfall when it comes to rambling? If you would like to submit, I have a couple submissions. I have room for 2 more. So I would go ahead and get that in by 8 p.m. today. Just go ahead and DM me. And I'm actually going to go through your response and I'm going to put it in the impact model for you. So you don't have to do that. So just DM me your target role, the role that you're in now, and then the question that you struggle with, and I will share with you how I'll put that in the impact model, right? Because I want y'all to walk away from this series really understanding how to leverage and utilize the impact model, because it's not taught anywhere else, right? ChatGPT don't know about it because it's mine, and I don't teach anywhere, but really to my clients. It's the first time I'm really sharing the details of it. So yeah, so I would, if you want to get feedback, I would go ahead and do that. So again, going back to rambling, I'm going to re-walk you through the impact model. And I'm going to share with you why this helps you stop rambling and why, you want to force your brain into this new model outside of the STAR method or the CAR method or other areas. But again, if you have any other questions, I am happy to answer them for sure. So again, impact model. If you don't have pen and paper, or if you're new to this series and you're like, what is the impact model? Or you want a refresher, the impact model first starts with the I, you lead with the impact, right? So what actually happened as a result of everything, not the tasks you did, but the impact. The M is metrics. You always want to have some form of metrics. Okay. I talk about all this too in day 1 and going through more of that, right? And then you have the 4 P's. The problem that you were actually solving. What was the issue in the first place? What was actually happening in the business? Who was crying? Who was yelling? What was breaking? What was broken? Then you have the people that you partnered with, right? None of this is in the STAR method, right? So the people. So this literally breaks down line by line what to say and what not to say. The STAR method gets a little too broad, and y'all won't be telling the right details. I'm gonna give y'all an example that really makes my head hurt. Around the employee relations examples and other ones that really makes my head hurt. when I hear y'all not using this impact model. Okay, so so the 4 P's: problem, people. Now we're at process. So what process did you do? So it's like getting into the how. What process did you eliminate? What process did you create? What process did you streamline? Right? Or what process did you take to get to the place that you got to? And then position. So this is for the people that don't know how to articulate or to take credit for what they did. The people that want to be humble, the people that have a hard time and are always saying we, right? So I want you to take credit for what you actually did with the P in the position. And then there is no A, but it's a challenge. So AC, so a challenge. So you want to talk about a challenge you overcome. So in the CAR method, they try to do this, right? But they leave out a lot of other things. So C, challenge. What challenge did you overcome to get to the end result, right? Was it lack of resources? Was it time? Was it, I don't know, economic conditions? Like, what was a challenge that you actually had to overcome? And then T, the most important part for your for my people who ramble, who are leaving out a critical part of the story. Y'all ramble and don't give this really critical piece. If you're pivoting, you have to be able to tie back and give somebody an understanding. Okay, now that you shared all this information, wrap it up in a bow for me, boo, with a conclusion statement. Right? Y'all done wrote paragraphs, y'all done wrote dissertations, like conclude it for me. That's why I hate the STAR method, because you end with the result and then it leaves the interviewer having to make a lot of deductions based on your story about why it's relevant to the role, right? Why it's relevant to their projects, why it's relevant to the things that they're thinking about or keeping them up at night, right? So being able to tie it back to the organization. So if you're a rambler, this is going to keep you in the guidelines. If you're a rambler, it's going to keep you in the guidelines. If you're a person that actually struggles what to say, and if your response to a question is 1 minute, this is also something that you need to say. Even if you're not a rambler, if this is something that you struggle, you need to have all 7 aspects, because that's what they're looking for. Right? Okay, let me give you an example of a rambling, like what gets y'all rambling sometimes, especially sometimes it's especially the questions that are saying like, okay, walk me through your philosophy, or walk me how you would manage a conflict between an employee and a manager. And then like give me an example, or walk me through a project that you led end to end. So I've seen a lot of people recently where they're like, if they're going to the employee relations example, they'll be like, yeah, so there was an issue with an employee on the sales floor. And so then I decided to go talk to the sales employee and bring them in the office. And then I arranged a meeting with the manager, and they sat in and I'm be a little dramatic, y'all. I'm be a little dramatic. No shade, but sometimes I'm like, literally, this does happen. And then they sat in the red chair on the left-hand side, like too many details. And then after the meeting, I actually spoke to the supervisor, and then I had to go get buy-in from so and so, and then I'm like, so I don't walk away from that example knowing anything about the impact, anything about it's too granular into the situation, the task that you did. And so if you're trying to show impact, if you're trying to show that you have done some level of employer relations, right? That is not the way to go. Absolutely not the way to go. Okay? Now, I want to answer people's questions about this, because I know that's one of the more complex ones. Oh, I got a little. Did I get a laugh? I think I got a laugh because I know I'm crazy. But yeah, like that is like leaving out all the details, versus if you tell me, okay, what was the impact of that employee relations issue overall after you solved it? So I was working with a client the other day, and I was like, okay, so you did all this employee relations stuff. What was different? She was like, oh yeah, like the entire team morale changed because we let that person go, and they had needed to be let go like 3 years prior. On top of that, all the errors that were happening, like we had like 60% errors, all of those errors had dissipated. That's the impact right there. Those are the metrics. Okay. And so, what was the actual problem that was happening? Then you can say, okay, yeah. So, I actually had to address this issue because, of X, Y, and Z reasons. So, she could talk about some of the opposite of what she changed, or she could say, I had 6 complaints in 6 days. That was the problem, right? To the point. To the point. I know that I can see this. Can you see the story unfolding? Right? I had a time where I actually reversed X, Y, and Z metrics because of this employee relations issue that I resolved. Here are the metrics about it. Um, Problem was this: I got 6 complaints in 6 days. And a lot of reason why a lot of y'all don't tell the right parts of the story, because, and I think I shared this on one of the other lives, especially for employee relations examples, y'all like, well, I don't want to get nobody in trouble. I don't want to tell the no, if I'm an HR VP, if I'm an HR manager, y'all don't think I want somebody that knows how to deal with the messy, nasty, crazy stuff that we deal with? You think I want somebody that only deals with the like little perfect stuff? No. I had a client who was like, yeah, like the lady was like, ooh, thanks for telling me the details, the juicy details. And it's not to make your company look bad. That is not the point. It's to showcase your expertise, to showcase that you have done it in some capacity, even if it wasn't your title at the time. Because again, a lot of y'all have done these things and you're just not talking about it, right? You're just not talking about it, or your story structure is just not it. Your story structure isn't helping you to pull it all out. That's why I love the impact model. That's why my clients are obsessed with it. Literally every single podcast episode, almost every single person talks about how the impact model changes their life because it gives them a freaking structure that no one has ever taught them. And they're able to not ramble off about a red chair, right? So, right. So then that I am the problem. And then who did you partner with, right? So if employee relations is usually pretty straightforward, you partner with, the employee, the person. And if you had to do an investigation, you might give a little bit more details. If it got more complex than that, you could talk about, partnering with legal. You could talk about blah, 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 whatever that is. Okay. So you partner with process. So this is where also a lot of you kind of really fail, because you talk about, yeah, I set up a one-on-one meeting. Y'all, table stakes, right? You want to talk about your most complex problems or processes that you had to do, right? Or if it is a simple process, I teach my clients how do you even make the most simple processes seem super valuable, right? So you have to be able to do stuff like that. So process, then you want to go into your position. So, yeah, I was the lead in this. Or if you partner with a manager, because a lot of y'all will be like, well, my manager actually made the final decision, but you did all the investigation or you did all the like hard conversations. If you drove 50 to 70% of the situation, you can take credit for where credit is due, right? Even if your manager put the stamp of approval on it, okay. And let me let you in on a little secret. And I know I'm going down an employee relations rabbit hole, but employee relations, we partner every time you have to. Every single situation that I have for employee relations, even 6 years in the game, I had to run it by my leader and my leader's leader, right? No matter, but I was still doing it very independently, but I had to get their input. We had to be in one-on-one accord. That's how employee relations goes. I had to partner with legal, right? That's how it goes. Okay. So the position you played, I led the investigation, right? Your manager's role is not really relevant. Okay, a challenge that I had to overcome. A challenge I had to overcome is that this particular employee was a valued employee. Somebody had tried to let them go in the past. Also, it was the cousin of somebody on so and so floor. Whatever the juicy challenges that you want to talk about it. Okay, I only had 2 days to make it happen. I got pressure from leadership, whatever the challenge is. And then T, tying it back to the organization, tying it back to the role. So if you're going after an HR business partner role, let's say you were GM, and again, you never really held a title, you just want to close the dots for them. Like, yeah, like I know that for any investigation that includes sensitive matters, like having a cousin that is a part of, or family member that's part of the floor, I know how to handle those sensitive matters, right? So you want to just tie it back to something that they're going to care about, tie it back to something in the role or the organization. That is why a lot of pivoters are not pivoting. It has nothing to do with your credentials. It has nothing to do with a certification. It has nothing to do with the exact title. It's because y'all are not giving them confidence with that tying it back. And you're rambling about stuff that they don't care about. And you're like, they want somebody with exact experience. Nope. They want somebody that can connect the dots. They want somebody that knows how to talk about impact. They want somebody that knows how to articulate who they partner and collaborate with. They don't just say they're collaborative. Oh, I'm a very collaborative, data-driven person. No, tell me in the impact model. If you're data-driven, show me in the process. If you're collaborative, tell me who you're collaborating with, right? That's why I pull all those things out, because those are the things we're actually talking about. Okay? I don't see no questions. Again, y'all real quiet. But I know there's a little lag too. So sometimes I'm like, just take a sip of water, let's again, calm down. But yeah, all of this I help my clients with. I hope some of you just use this impact model and go off and do great things. If you really want to sharpen your communication skills, though, your storytelling, you're tired of rambling and you really want somebody to support you through that, that's what I do in Prime to Pivot, right? So you can join my program and I'd be happy to be your coach. I'm just going to wait to see if there are any questions. I'm happy to answer any questions about this particular example or others. Again, if you want me to review yours, I have 2 more slots left for tomorrow. But you can go ahead and submit though, because I'll be answering questions and real examples, your examples, because I want to make sure you understand, both Thursday and Friday. So submit to my DMs. All you gotta do, role that you're targeting, role that you're in, what's the question, and then give me a little snippet of what you would normally say, and I will help you put in an impact model so you can nail your next role. Come on, you nail your next interview. Let's see, what else? Anything else I want to talk about rambling? Did I miss something too? Because I know the title of this was, I kind of went off the cuff. So I want to make sure, is there anything else I want to share with y'all? I think another example, so I use a lot of employee relations examples, but one that I love the most too is recently when I have a client that was going to L&D, and she was very, very stuck on, and again, right, she was kind of like repeating herself a lot, and that came again from, as we were practicing, I could tell she was very self-conscious about not having instructional design experience, right? So that's the other thing with the impact model is it takes the job description anxiety away and puts you in the mode again of like, what are the actual details that are needed? And so she kept focusing on the job description, which if you go back to any of all my LinkedIn's and LinkedIn lives and stuff, I have a very anti-job description. I think it's spinning too many of y'all out. And so going away from the job description is like not really what matters. It's actually the story that's inside you that you're not understanding how to pull out. And so I'm like, get off the job description. Let's talk about what you do know about instructional design. Even if you didn't make decisions, why were some of the decisions made? Let's focus from that energy, and let's also put it in the process. Let's put it in the challenge. Let's address some of the questions that we know are going to come up about design, because you know about design, even if you weren't the person that was there, scribing every single thing. You partner with the designer. So talk about your knowledge. You ramble because you don't, a lot of times you don't know what they're actually, you're making assumptions about what they're looking for because you see one word on the job description, and you're not, again, doing the legwork to think about the different aspects of the impact model that they actually care about. Right? Let me know if that makes sense or if that doesn't make sense. But yeah, like, you absolutely do not have to have the direct experience. You can talk about your lack of experience. And I will tell you, anybody, almost every person that I've worked with, they're like, oh, I've never done anything like it. And then like 3 questions in, after I ask them, I'm like, okay, so you did. Like, you did. You absolutely did. I forgot the other thing that I want to talk about in terms of rambling. Again, a lot of you have the direct experience. So I'm thinking about somebody who's in the military client, And she was like, I kind of did payroll, but I did this and this and this. And I was like, after like 3 or 4 questions, I was like, you were payroll, boo. Like you were payroll. Like y'all are so questioning because you're in a specific industry. Or I'm thinking about another client who was like, I kind of led a team, but like because it's consulting, like the structure's X, Y, and Z. Again, y'all are overthinking and you're not claiming your position. You're not giving the details of the actual challenge because of the overall insecurities, right? And so again, I can't stress enough how important it is to learn this new model, so that you're not stuck in that overall rambling. You'll stop rambling when you have a structure. Period. Point. Period. Blank. You'll stop rambling when you have structure. You'll stop rambling when you know exactly what the person on the other side is actually looking for. You'll stop rambling when you stop getting into the story, right? You're so engrossed in the story and in like somebody walking down the hall, or you're getting into the details about, um, you know, and it was ADP 2.0, and then it was a Saturday night, and like I'm saying this, but seriously, this is how you all are talking, and you are losing your audience. Okay, get a structure that works. Get a structure that works. Okay, yeah, I was just talking about rambling today. I thought I had one other thing, but that's how you stop rambling. Okay? Okay. It's been fun. I hope this is helping people. I hope it's helping people. Would love to know. Is it overwhelming? Is it hidden? Because I know my clients be like, girl, who's doing all that talking? And then they get into it and they be like, girl, I can't believe I ain't had this before. I feel so confident. I feel so authentic. You can do that too. All right. All right, y'all. I will see y'all for day 4 and 5. I'm so excited. I love helping people live. And I'm excited to do the 2 examples. Let me know target role, current role. What's the question? Submit it tomorrow by around 8 p.m. Central Time, maybe 9. And then I will answer live tomorrow. And I'll be answering your questions. Okay, y'all. Have a good day. See ya.